a scientist who has a vendetta against Splinter and his turtles, has devised a way to transport himself through time to change past events, fearing what damage this maniac might do, and that their very existence may be threatened. Splinter instructs the Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael, and Leonardo to stop this madman. Their mission takes them further into the depths of time than ever before, and even more bizarre events transpire once the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles encounter the last of the Viking heroes. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Comic Beyond. So in this episode, we're discussing a comic I've never really heard of before, but I just recently found. It's The Last of the Viking Heroes Meet the Ninja Turtles. So, of course, the premise of the book, just like the synopsis, our turtles follow this madman and his giant robot and his scientist assistant through time, and so they're worried, of course, that he's going to alter stuff and change the course of time. So they go to his research lab, and they see that he's already teleported away. He's already went through time. So trying to hurry up and act fast to decide what they need to do, they end up teleporting themselves to follow him. And so they go back in time to, like, the Viking days. So, again, I've never heard of The Last of the Viking Heroes. I guess it was a comic series. And in this issue, it's a summer special, but it's number 3. Apparently, the Turtles were featured in it. So, I picked it up because, obviously, it was a crossover, but not just a crossover, but it had the Turtles. So, I had to get it. And I tell you, it was a fast read, but it was enjoyable. It was fun. So it was fun, and so the Turtles, they get there, and of course, you know, they encounter our Viking heroes, and at first they're like, oh, are these, you know, answers to our prayers to help us defeat this madman, or are they demons? And so they quickly brief in the Vikings, and they, you know, get over their trust issues, and Eric, I guess he's like the leader of the bunch, they tell him, they're like, hey, we got this guy, we followed him here throughout time, and he's wanting to alter stuff. And so the mad scientist dude, he's already built him a fortress and stuff like that. And so they got to figure out a way to, you know, get in there. And one of the Viking dudes is like, well, this girl, she goes to on Odin's Day every week to get her nails done. And when she goes back, she, you know, puts her hand on the fortress, and it allows her to go in. And so they're like, Odin's Day, and I guess to them it's Odin's Day, and our time it would be Wednesday. So just a little bit of, I guess, Viking humor there. But, so that's what they do, and so they're like, well, how are we going to get her to give us the passcode? So, I believe it's, Leonardo. He's saying that, like, well, Eric here, the Viking guy, he can woo anybody, knock, you know, women off their feet. They're like, he could get that passcode easy. So, of course, that's what they do. He goes to the assistant's place or whatever, and, you know, he's sweet-talking her, and he's like, hey, I want to come to your chambers tonight and, you know, come, you know, hang out. Well, he's like, but I can't get in because I ain't got the code to your room. She's like, well, I can write it down on a piece of paper for you, and, you know, don't tell nobody where you got it. So he gets it, and they're like, did you get it? And he's like, of course I did. And he hands it to Raphael. So they go, and then the giant robot that the mad scientist brought with him, if you've watched Thor, or you know, like, Thor comics, well, in the movie Thor, you got that giant robot that shoots the beam out in the first movie. This is pretty much what this guy does. He almost looks and does exactly the same thing. So he's guarding the fortress. And so when our turtles and heroes get there, you know, they're fighting off that giant robot to get to him. So they're trying to defend the castle. And one of the funny moments, because there's a lot of humor in this book, but one of the funny moments is he's shooting his beam, and they think Leonardo gets hurt or killed, but it only hit like a rock or the ground by him and kind of threw him. But then it starts shooting at Michelangelo. So Michelangelo, for whatever reason, he had his surfboard with him. And because I think they were planning on going surfing when they got back. Well, he digs his surfboard out, and the laser beam hits it, and it melts his surfboard. And so Michelangelo takes defense to that, and he wants to go charge at the giant robot, but the Eric, the Viking dude's like, here, take my enchanted sword. So you got Michelangelo charging at this giant robot, shooting beams out of his face, and takes the enchanted sword, leaps up, and stabs it in the face, destroying the robot. And now the robot's like just half a body. And so the giant robot goes to shoot its beams out, to hit the turtles, but the turtles get out of the way, and the beams actually hit the mad scientist dude and blows like a hole through him. And so they're like, oh no, we got to get out of here, because the giant robot's like, oh darn. He's like, I just hurt my master. I must self detonate or whatever. So he's like fiddling with himself, getting ready to blow up. So turtles spray, and so the giant robot blows himself up and blows up the fortress. And so the turtle's like, ooh, well, at least that took care of the evidence that nothing ever happened while we were here, because that's how time travel works. So they say their goodbyes to the Viking dudes and the Viking guys. And here's a funny part. So the Viking dudes are like, do you think you'll ever come back? Will you ever return? And so wink, wink, nod, nod. Michelangelo's like, well, that's up to our man, Mr. Eastman. Which Eastman, if you're a turtle fan, he's one of the co-creators. So a little fourth wall breaking there, throwing out Eastman's name, but I really enjoyed that. So the turtles, they come back in the time. And I forget what the name of the theater is, but it's the like the Chinese theater in Hollywood, California. Well, they come out of that, and they jokingly say, "Oh no, did we go past time or whatever, our time, and end up in China?" And they're like, "No, that's a movie theater." And the movie theater that they're going to see is TMNT 2: Secret of the Ooze. And so they jokingly say, "Man, after all that violence and our adventure, man, I'd love to go see a non-violent movie." And they're actually going to see TMNT 2, which, if you're a turtle fan, again, the first movie was pretty dark, and had some dark humor in it. And then by the second movie, they toned that down quite a bit because parents got all upset. And so if you notice, in the first movie, they were using weapons. By the second movie, they weren't using very many weapons. But all in all, I enjoyed this book because it had humor to it. The turtles' dialogue was kind of weird in some places. But this was like in the 90s when Eastman and Laird were letting different writers and artists and all them kind of play with the turtles. So everybody was doing something different with them. This is the merge turtles that are crossing over. So they have a little bit more of the, kind of funny humor and jokes and stuff like that. And they also try to take themselves a little bit serious. But all in all, it was good. The artwork wasn't bad. I actually kind of dug the artwork on the turtles a little bit just because it was so different than what I'm used to seeing. On the close-up of the turtle faces, you can see like their nostrils. So that was something new. Like, I've read a lot of turtle comics, and you don't really see that much. And it's just like a little detail that this artist decided to throw in. And if you look at the cover for this comic, they're going down the wormhole of time. And you actually see them, they have like little claws coming out of their fingertips. So that was a different change. So the turtle design in this was, to me, different than anything I've seen. But it was still cool. Artwork was cool. This gave me, it came out in the 90s, but this gave me very much a 80s, feel comic-wise due to the art. And to me, it was kind of a little Jack Kirby-esque, which is cool. But, no, I enjoyed it. I don't think I'm going to go and start tracking down, Viking Hero comics. But, I'm pretty sure there's another issue involving the turtles. So maybe, Leonardo or Donatello, their quip about that's up to Mr. Eastman. Maybe Eastman actually did let him come back for another adventure. So, that being said, I'm going to research that, and then down the road, if that's true and they are in another book, definitely going to try to dig that one up and find it, and then we'll discuss that, because this was a fun read. I found it in an antique store, because there was a box of comics, and I'm fiddling through, and ain't really seeing much. By the end of the box, I found this. And I think I paid a whole $3.99 for it, $4.99 for it. So, not a bad price. Originally a $2.50 book, so not bad. And it was the Turtles, and it was like almost classic Turtles, so that was fun. And it was a crossover. Not very many Turtle crossovers, but when there are them, I always try to scoop them up. But that's this episode. This was a fun read. I'm not sure how you would go about finding it, because I'm not sure if this is on Comixology. But I do know for sure, because I did look it up, just to see. This is on eBay, so you could probably get it for the same price I got mine. So I would definitely check it out if you're a Turtle fan, because this is probably like a lost piece of time from the 90s. Because up until now, like I said, I didn't know what a Viking hero was, or the last of the Viking heroes, until I found this book. And so it was a cool treasure to find. I enjoyed reading it to review it for this episode. So, Turtle fans, I hope you enjoyed it if you're listening. And if you are listening and you like this episode, please like and subscribe. And continue to check in, because we got more fun stuff to come. I'll talk to you later.